Today, we are breaking down one of the most impressive negotiation stories I've ever come across. We're going to look at how one software engineer took 6 different job offers and, through some brilliant strategy, turned them into a single, life-changing compensation package. This is basically a masterclass in how to play the game. All right, let's just cut to the chase and start with the final number, because, wow, this is the total annual compensation the author ended up with. And get this, it was almost $100,000 more than they thought was even on the table when they started. So how in the world did they pull this off? Well, it wasn't about being aggressive or getting lucky. Nope, it was a carefully planned strategy built on just a few core principles. Let's dig into how they did it, and more importantly, how you can use this same playbook. You see, the author didn't look at this as some kind of scary confrontation. They saw it for what it is, a strategic game. And like any game, it has rules. Just shifting your mindset to this is, well, it's absolutely crucial. It's not you versus the recruiter. It's two people trying to reach the same goal. And what's so interesting here is that these aren't really tactics. They're more like principles. The whole strategy is built on a foundation of being a good person, No lying, no manipulation, no backing out of a deal you've already accepted. It's all about playing fair, while still playing to win. Okay, this is so important. The most critical moves in a negotiation happen long before anyone even mentions a salary number. Your success really starts way, way back in the interview process. If you only remember one thing, let it be this. Negotiation is not a fight. You and the recruiter, you both want the exact same thing. For you to be so happy with the offer that you sign. They are your partner in this, not your enemy. So be nice, be easy to work with, and help them get you what you want. And this right here is the secret sauce. This is where your power comes from, leverage. And you create it just by being honest that you're talking to other companies. That one simple act creates a sense of urgency. It helps get all your deadlines to line up, and it tells them you're a candidate people really want. All right, so you've set the stage perfectly. Now the offers start rolling in, and the real back and forth, the negotiation dance, can finally begin. This is where all that prep work really starts to pay off. Picture this, you get the call, they give you the numbers, your heart is probably pounding, and then they almost always ask this simple question. How you answer this is going to set the tone for everything that comes next. And this is your move. It's perfect. You're polite, you're respectful, but you're also firm. You're letting them know they are in the game, but that the game isn't over. Your only job right now is to keep all your doors open. Don't say yes, but don't say no. So once all the first-round offers were in, this is what the scoreboard looked like. And you can see, right, most of them are all kind of bunched up together, right around that $220,000, $230,000 mark. This is our starting point. Now here's a really clever tactic the author used. When they countered, they always used a range, not a specific number. Why? Well, think about it. If you give one number, that kind of becomes the ceiling. But if you give a range, it keeps the conversation going. It's an invitation for them to come back and maybe even surprise you by hitting the top of your range. And check it out. It worked. After taking the best offers and politely using them as leverage with the other companies, you can see the numbers start to climb. Bravo and Foxtrot made some really nice jumps. A couple others moved a little. This is the negotiation dance in action, right here on the screen. Okay, so after days of phone calls, emails, and a whole lot of patience, the author has narrowed it down to the final 2 companies. It's time to make one last perfectly calculated move. This is the endgame. So the pressure is on. Company Delta is really pushing for a final answer, a hard number. But instead of giving in, the author does something brilliant. They pivot, and they call their number 1 choice, Company Bravo. In this move, it's a masterstroke. The author makes a tiny, super reasonable request. They didn't ask for a giant raise. They just asked for a little bump in stock, something that's really easy for a manager to approve. And they tied it to a promise. If you can do this for me, I will sign on the spot. So the recruiter from Bravo calls back, and they didn't just meet that small request. They came back with a completely new blockbuster offer. They started with the base salary and bonus, keeping it right at that strong $180,000 number. But then, the stock package. Wow. Instead of that small bump, they came back and literally doubled the previous stock offer. A massive jump to $400,000 over 4 years. And they still weren't done. On top of all that, the signing and relocation bonus also got a huge boost, all the way up to $90,000. So when you add it all up, the final offer didn't just hit that small ask. It completely blew it out of the water. That one final, reasonable request, tied to a firm commitment, was the key that unlocked this monster offer, landing right around $300,000 a year. What a journey, right? I mean, just incredible stuff. So let's boil this whole thing down into a simple, actionable playbook that you can keep in your back pocket for your next negotiation. Okay, here are the big lessons. First, always get multiple offers. That's your leverage. Second, be nice. Recruiters want to help you. Third, be open about your timeline. Fourth, try your best not to give the first number. Fifth, aim higher than you think you deserve, because you probably deserve it. And last but not least, don't say no to anyone until you've said yes to someone else and signed on the dotted line. Look, this whole story just goes to show that with the right strategy and the right mindset, you have way more power in this situation than you probably think. So now that you've seen the playbook, the only question left is, when that first offer comes in, what's your first move going to be?